We've seen the players in the dugout, we've seen the players walk out and take their seats, and it's now time to get to the action as the SG Alpine Warriors with the white pieces take on the Ganges Grandmasters, who will be playing with the black pieces. We've been talking about Magnus versus Vishy, but Peter, it's top to bottom, every board is equally competitive.
Absolutely, very exciting, and it's also the first double-header, so to speak. We see the Magnus team, the SG Alpine Warriors, playing their second match of the day. This will happen occasionally during the course of this tournament, and very interesting to see how that will and if that will affect them. Yeah, Magnus sporting a very hippie haircut. I would.
You also said hippie on the broadcast. I love it, Peter.
Yes, that's not a swear word.
It's not. It is a very cool hairstyle, and Vishy, they're looking super serious as well. We did see the two teams in their dugout. Some very different vibes there. And of course, there we see Magnus with his classic hand raise before the start of the game.
None of us were right. So far, so good. It could be quite a slow development type game. Generally, it very much depends on what the white player wants to do here. And Vishy's approach to that opening is extremely solid. This is probably the most solid.
Now, Peter, to me, this looks like a slow positional strategic fight that we have. And I think it's a good moment to zoom out to all our 6 boards. Let's get a bird's eye view on the openings that we have all around. Magnus has just made his last move, developing the knight. We will keep our eye out on that one. We've got action all over. We do see on the top left there, Magnus with the white pieces. Peter, in the recard Rapport versus Gukesh game on that top second board, the H-pawn has moved forward. It's looking aggressive. Which game catches your attention?
I would like to point out that on board 3, Arjun is repeating the opening that cost him, well, not cost him the game, but resulted in him losing the game against Teimur Rajabov just a few hours earlier. And he goes for a very, very similar idea again. Lenier choosing not to repeat exactly what Teimur has done in that game.
Peter, are you expecting Arjun to break in the center with the pawn push?
I think it's very, very much expected in pretty much any of these positions. You could also make an argument for bringing the knight that is currently somewhat languishing on the back rank to e3 to perhaps fight for control of the center, perhaps make the pawn push that you were talking about slightly less advantageous for black. That's also a move that is definitely to be considered for Arjun. So I think this is why he's thinking. Otherwise, I think the pawn push would have been played already.
Well, let's go into a bird's eye view as we take in all the action all across. And Peter, I do see there is some crazy middle games developing. I look at the women board with Bella Khotenashvili against Elizabeth Pats, the middle board from the bottom. What's going on there?
Hard to say. You would need to take some time to figure out exactly who is doing what, because it's a very unusual landscape. You don't see positions like this very often. At the first glance, it looks very pleasant for white, but I think both players are extremely happy just, getting some kind of a unclear position on the board and playing it. They're both extremely fighting players, and a messy position, I think, suits both of them very well.
And there we see the players on our camera. The last move, a developing move by Bella Khotenashvili, bringing the knight into the game. There's a lot of tension in the center. Peter, what should white play? How does white handle this?
In these types of positions where white gains some space on the queen side, on the left side of the board, you can see that white made some progress there, and you generally want to continue making progress there, and white's previous moves do seem to indicate that this is what Elizabeth is thinking of. And I think she has played, yeah, that's the move I was expecting, continuing to gain space. We've seen a pawn trade right there, which brings the black rook on a8 into the game by opening up the line on the side of the board, but it's still a very, very sharp position, very difficult to assess. I'm not quite sure what I think of it. This is very, very problematic for Anand.
I'm looking at the position and the last move that Anand has made. He's lined up his rook against Magnus's queen, threatening potential dangerous knight jumps in the position, which will hit the queen and the pawn on e2 as well on the square that we are pointing out right now. There are threats on the board, open files. Meanwhile, Ricard Rapport and Gukesh. That game is getting wild, board number 2.
Absolutely, we should go there because there has been a quiet game for quite some time. It no longer is.
Upper pawn feels like Black's the one with all the attack and the initiative. Take a look at White's king. Absolutely weak with no pawns ahead of him. I think this is Gukesh with the last move, trying to create some play against against Black's king. It's really the only way. He has to look for his chances. Peter, how dangerous can that G file be for Black?
If it gets opened and Black falls asleep for a second and allows an attack, it could become very, very dangerous. The bishop, the white bishop could be attacking the pawn in front of the black king. But you can also just not let the file get opened at all. I suspect avoiding the pawn trade there, moving your own pawn one square forward and just not letting the G file open is something you can play. There could be tactical solutions which are even stronger. But if you want like a safe move which doesn't spoil anything, that would be my choice, I think.
Wow, and we're getting our first results, Sarah, that we do have handshakes on table 4 of the match. And let's just zoom out and take a look at what happened as that one has ended. In fact, in a draw, we're seeing the second strongest ever woman player, Hu Yifan. She's walking out right now. She has drawn her game. A reasonable result for both Irina Krush and Hu Yifan. That bottom left board that we see, the position was even. That one has ended. Oh my god! What have we just seen? Peter, were you about to say this move? Because this looks absolutely insane to me.
No, I understand. It's a gamble. It should lose. I think Gukesh knows it should lose. But he's also, with very, very little time for both of them, I think he says, calculate your way out of this. Perhaps you will make a mistake somewhere because this move shocks you and throws you off your game. And then perhaps I will have a chance. But generally speaking, I don't expect this to be working.
With 19 seconds on the clock, Gukesh has sacrificed the bishop. Everything has gone wild. Do not care about the eval bar just now because mistakes can happen, but it just looks like Black is faster, picking up piece after piece. White's king is the one who's still in danger. The G line is still blocked. We get a close-up of the players. We have zoomed in as it's a critical moment. 11 seconds, 10. Gukesh needs to make a move. 9, 8, 7,
I'm
6.
I'm a bit shocked by this. Yeah, finally he makes the move I expected him to make, but yeah, now Richard probably just calculated this out and knows he has mate on the other side of the board, and it is a reasonably simple conversion from here. If the white king goes back to the square it came from just now, you can check from the side, and now after the move Gukesh played, you continue checking. Now you can just trade the queens for black. You can give a check with queen b3, and that's exactly what he does. And the attack immediately disappears. This will end in a second. There you have it.
Great call by you, Peter. That endgame, move by move, you called it out. We see the handshakes, a huge point for the Ganges Grandmasters with the black pieces. Ricard Rapport takes the win against Gukesh. The players adjusting the pieces back. A definite moment for Gukesh where he knows he had it under control, but things went out of hand. Vishy Anand with the black pieces in big trouble. That A pawn, the little pawn that you were talking about, has become a big pawn right now.
Absolutely, yeah. And Vishy seemingly made some progress on the king side. He can now take the knight with the bishop and collect quite a bunch of material on the other side of the board. But the white passer is just too strong. It gets home too quick. So that's not going to be working for him. But there was a huge turnaround on board 5 in the meantime.
Wow, and we do have handshakes with Vishy Anand resigning against Magnus Carlsen. It's an endgame, Peter, difficult to fight. Yes, black could have won some pawns, but this A pawn is just too strong. It was going to march down the board in queen, and we see the two players, mutual respect there.
Absolutely,
so much of it, analyzing, seeing where they went wrong, and this is the beauty of chess.
It is definitely something that is very, very pleasing to see every time you see it. And these two have played so much against each other. They have so much respect for each other. And yeah, there you see them just discovering the truth about the game after the game has been played. Vishy obviously not very happy with how this went. But once he looks up and sees how his team is doing, I think he'll be a lot happier.
And let's just update everyone that currently it is in fact Vishy Anand leading from the top. Ganges Grandmasters team that is leading the match because Ricard Rapport won with the black pieces. He gets 4 points. Magnus Carlsen winning with the white pieces gets 3 points. So it is a 1-point lead currently for the Ganges Grandmasters. And we're getting more updates that in fact board 3 has ended between Lenier Dominguez and Arjun Arigasi. As this one continues the fight, we will get an update on this one, what the result was. If we can just zoom out for a moment to our bird's eye view to get the update on the result. Did Dominguez manage to win that one, or did Arjun survive it?
That looks like a draw.
Is do the simple math here. Black has 3 pieces, white has only 1. Even if black gives up this bishop for this
Black
pawn
could have
when it
given
queens.
could have given mate in 2 just there, but it's not needed really. Like you can do without.
Well, there's a mate in 1.
There's no.
There's a mate in 1. What a fantastic finish. Doesn't pick up the queen, but gives a checkmate. The bishop coming in. The king has
Very
got nowhere
beautiful.
to run. And Peter, it seems with that win, the Ganges Grandmasters, they come out on top.
Absolutely, and they will be our provisional leaders after 3 of the 4 matches of the day done today. They are on 2 wins out of 2. Very impressive by them, and even a rare Anand loss on board 1 didn't deter them due to a very important victory with the black pieces on board 2 by Richard Rapport.